Hello and welcome everyone to today's webinar titled System Reporting and Optimization. My name is Vivian Lee and I will be your presenter today. You have all joined this webinar in listen-only mode, which means that everyone's phones are muted. At the end of this session, I will go ahead and unmute the phones and you will have the opportunity to ask any questions relating to today's webinar. Also, the webinar is being recorded and a link will be posted to the AutoCrib support portal at the end. And you can find it by logging into the support portal and then navigating to Pro Services. Under there, you will see a link named Webinars. And if you click on it, today's webinar will be posted here at the bottom of the page. So these are all of the previous webinars that we've had that you can go back and watch at any time as well. So it'll be posted here at the bottom of the page. So today's agenda, we will be covering how to utilize the AutoCrib.net. So you will be using the AutoCrib.net software to run reports that will show you inventory usage, how to identify slow and dead inventory, how to identify current bin quantities and locations in a RoboCrib, and finally how to reassign items using the AutoCrib.net software. So we will begin by taking a look at some of the inventory usage reports. So AutoCrib does have more than 250 standard reports available. We're not going to be going through all of those reports today. I just picked a few that I thought would be the most helpful. And of course, you feel free to later go through and browse through the rest of the reports and see if there's anything else that you might find useful. We also can create custom reports. So if there's any report in the standard list that you don't see that you would need, you can always request a custom report built for you from Pro Services. So you can just email proservices@autocrib.com. So the first reports are in the summary category. And those will show you the number of issues and costs. And there's a column for month to date, year to date, and last year's. An important note is before you look at these summary reports, you must run the update history. And that's located under Tools and then Update History. Or you can have it scheduled. So on a monthly basis, it will run by itself. And you can tell it what day of the month you want the update history to run. So it could be every 1st of the month or every 15th of the month, etc. Also, the summary reports will just give you a summary, so there's no detailed transactions. But we do have under the transactions reports category similar reports that just show you a lot more detail. And then some other inventory reports that we're going to look at are the 30-day average usage report, the monthly usage trend report, slow and dead by bin or by item report, and then the inventory turns. There's a 6-month or a 12-month report. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to log into AutoCrib.net, and I'm going to go in and run the update history. So to run the update history, you would select Tools. And if you would like, you can follow along on your own .NET account. You can log in there and follow through with the steps if you like, or you can just watch the screen. So we're going to go to Tools, and from here we are going to select Update History. And once I'm in the Update History module, to run it manually, all I have to do is click on Proceed. And then it's going to go through and update the number of issues and costs for the crib, and then it's going to do it for the bin, and then the item, employees. So it's going to go through and update all of these here, and it tells you how long it's taking to run and update those fields. At the bottom is where you can schedule an automatic update. So all you have to do is enter in the time. So here I put 12 midnight. So you would have to enter the time and then indicate if it's AM or PM. And in the field that says update date, that would be the day of the month where you would like it to run. So I have the first of every month at 12 a.m. This will automatically update for me. So anytime I look at these summary reports, I could feel confident that the figures are all updated. So I'm going to let this finish. So it's going to run through the update history, and then we'll take a look at some of the summary reports. So again, the summary reports are commonly used by top management. They can quickly determine the amount of money that was used over a period of time. And if you look at the employee summary, then it'll give you the amount of money that was spent by each employee. And then there are different reports by department, by job, and all the other cost centers like machine, parts, and reasons. So again, the summary reports will not show you details. It will just summarize the year-to-date, month-to-date, and last year's issues and costs. So to look at these reports, we're just going to click on Reports and select Standard. From the report category, we're going to select Summary and click on Go. So here are all of your summary reports. So again, the title of the report tells you how it is grouped. So the first report here is grouped by department. The employee will be grouped by employee. The item will be grouped by item. So let's take a look at the employee summary report. So I'm going to click on employee from here, and I'm going to select the preview and print. So here is the employee summary report. So again, it lists each employee on a separate line here. The last time they issued out of the machine. And here are the number of month-to-date issues. So this is the total issues for this month. This is the total cost for this month here under the month-to-date cost column. This is the year-to-date issues, so that's the number of issues from the machine, and your year-to-date cost. This is the total cost for this year, and last year. So this is last year's number of issues, and then the total cost for that employee for the previous year. So all the summary reports are similar in structure. They give you the month-to-date, year-to-date, and last year's number of issues and costs. So this was the employee report. So another report, if you are using departments and you have that enabled, this report will break down your number of issues and costs for each department. So again, here you see the last time it was issued from the department, the total number of issues for that department, the total cost for that department, and this is the year-to-date and last year's. And another report would be by item. So the item summary report, again, breaks it down by item. And here are your month-to-date issues, month-to-date costs, year-to-date issues and costs, and last year's issues and costs for each item. Now, if you ever need to just look up a specific item, you can always use the parameter selection fields here on the right side. So if there's a specific item that you want to locate, you would just enter from and to, and then run the report just for that one item. And same with employee. So if you click on employee here, if you just want to look up one employee, you can use the parameter fields and just enter in the employee's name and badge number, and then preview and print. And now you can just see a report for one specific employee. So these are your summary reports. If you would like to see more detailed report, you can go under the transactions report category, and this will give you similar information just with a lot more detail. So, for example, the item report from here gives you so it groups it by item. So the darker colored lines here are the item codes. And it tells you what crib and bin has been issued out of, the date, the time, the type of issue, if it was issued out of on hand or issued out of burn, the quantity that was issued, the issue cost, the employee that issued out the item, and the item transactions value. So this breaks it down by item, and it gives you a lot more detail. So under transactions, you can see we have an employee report here, crib, so you can run all these transactions histories by and group them by different fields like crib, department, item, jobs, parts. You can also just look at yesterday's transactions by employees. So if you just want to take a look and see what's been issued yesterday, and you can set all these reports up for automatic email as well. So you can look at them every day, and you can just get them in your email every morning, for example. So you can look at the previous day's transactions for each employee. So additional reports that we have that can help you manage your inventory would be under the inventory category. So we're going to take a look here. And the first report here is the 30-day average daily usage. So this report just calculates the average daily usage based on your total consumption over the last 30 days. So these are the total number of transactions and your average daily transactions. So these here, so we've had 7 issues in the last 30 days for this item, for example. So my average daily usage is 0.2 over the last 30 days. So again, this report gives you a summary of the average daily usage for the last 30 days. So this is a good report to look at to see how your items are doing as far as usage. Another good report here is the monthly usage trend report. And this one here. So I'm going to preview and print. So this report will trend out the usage of each item over a historical rolling 12 months. So this is good for looking at seasonal demands or just seeing if there's been any spikes in usage. So it highlights our current month here, which is May, and it goes back 12 months from May. So May all the way back to June of 2016, and it just gives you the total number of issues for each month. So again, this report, you can quickly see if there's been any trends or spikes in usage. So this is your monthly usage trend report. So another good report here to identify slow and dead moving or dead items. Here would be the slow and dead inventory or slow and dead inventory by item. I'm going to take a look at the slow and dead inventory by item. So this report again breaks it down by item, and it indicates in the status column here, so this is your status column, whether the item is slow moving, so it would say slow, dead, or never used. So items that are marked as never used just have never been issued out of the machine. Dead items are items that have not been dispensed in the last 120 days. So if they haven't been issued out of the machine in the last 120 days, they are considered dead. And your slow moving items here, slow moving items have not been dispensed out of the machine in the last 60 days. So again, slow is items that have not been dispensed in the last 60 days. Dead would be any item that has not been dispensed out of the machine in the last 120 days. And never used items will be marked as never used. So this is a really useful report here. So it could let you know if you might need to maybe take some of the items out of the machine and replace them with higher moving items, for example. And we will take a look at how to do that in the AutoCrib software as well. So this is your slow and dead by bin. So another good report here to look at is the inventory turns report. So there are 2 inventory turns report depending on the amount of data that you have in your system. If you do not have 12 months worth of transactions, you can use the inventory turns for 6 months. But if you have 12 months history in your system, in the AutoCrib system, then you can run the inventory turns at 12 months. I'm going to select the inventory turns 6 months report. So the 6-month report and 12-month report, they both use the exact same calculations for the turns. The only difference is the look back period. So the 6-month will only gather data from the last 6 months, and the 12-month report will gather data from the last 12 months. So here you have your several columns. You have your classic turns, average turns, average daily usage, and the days of supply. And the most important column to look at here is the status. So anything that's marked as dead, you probably would want to remove from the system. So that means it has less than or equal to 0 turns. So that would be considered dead. And then you have a status definition here for what slow is. And then you have your normal turns here and fast turns and overturning. So you can go through the report and look at the status of all your items. So it looks like there's a lot of items here I would need to remove from my system. And I have a lot of dead items here. That's because I don't have a lot of usage on this particular database. So I have a slide here that actually breaks down the calculations for each column heading. So for example, your classic turns is your total cost for the last 12 months divided by the current inventory value times the issue cost times pack quantity. So that's your classic turns. And then there's a calculation here for your average turns and your average daily usage and the days of supply. So these are all the calculations for the inventory turns report. I also attached a file to the webinar. If you look on the right side in the panel, I believe there's a section there called handouts. So if you expand the handouts, there's a Word document there named Portal Links. If you click on it, you can download it to your desktop. So if you click on the Portal Links document to download it, so it'll be available till the end of the webinar session. So you can go ahead and download it. And then once you open it, I've provided some portal links in here that you might find useful. So all you have to do is first log into the portal. And then what you would do is copy and paste the links. So for example, here, the inventory turns calculations, should you need to look at those calculations again, you can copy this link straight into the portal. And here is the explanation of the calculations for the inventory turns report. I also provided some other links in here. I've provided a link to the most commonly used reports. So again, if you copy and paste that into the portal after you log in, it should take you straight to the page. Let's see. So go to the portal. So this one takes you straight to your commonly used reports files, a PDF file, so you can click on it. And this will give you a list of the commonly used reports, as well as their descriptions here. So it goes through the summary reports, some transactions reports. So you may want to look at this file. Also, I've provided one more link here on this document. And this link will take you to a file that has a list of all of the AutoCrib reports. So these are all the AutoCrib reports that are available, all the standard reports and their description. So it tells you what you will find in each report. So this is just another good link on the portal to look at. So these are a list of all of our reports and their definitions. Okay, so these are all of the reports that I wanted to look at as far as inventory usage. So all the reports we looked at so far are helpful in just managing your inventory usage or looking at the usage. So the next set of reports that we're going to look at will help you manage your system as far as your inventory. So you can see where your open bins are in the RoboCrib, where your items are allocated to which bins, how many bins, and your RoboCrib item info. So we're going to look at the RoboCrib open bins report, RoboCrib bin allocation by item report, and RoboCrib item info reports. Okay, so these reports are listed again under the inventory category. So the first report I would like to look at here is the RoboCrib open bins. So if you wanted to know if you have any available bins in your RoboCrib, available means that there's no item assigned to them. So you can go and assign items to those open bins. If you want to quickly see which bins are available, you can run the RoboCrib open bins report here. So this will give you a list of the crib, and then the bin number that is available and the size. So if you have an item that you want to place in a 6-pie, you just look here at the bin size and locate a 6-pie, and here is the bin number. So for example, if I want to assign an item here to this bin, I can just write down the bin number, which is 10E-02. It's a 6-pie. So once I locate my available bin, I can go into cribs here in AutoCrib.net. So I'm going to go to cribs, I'm going to go to bins, And I can search for the bin number here. So there's a search field here up on the top, and I can type in the bin that I'm looking for. So 10E-02, click go. And the bin I was looking at was in crib 01. So this is my crib 01, and this is my bin. So I can just select it, select edit, and I can assign my item from here or search for it using the search field here. And click save. So it's that simple to locate an open bin and assign an item to that open bin in AutoCrib. So that was your RoboCrib Open Bins report, which is again under the standard reports under inventory category. Next report we're going to look at is the RoboCrib bin allocation by item. So RoboCrib bin allocation by item, and this will list the number of bins that are allocated to each item. So if I just quickly want to see how many bins I have this particular item in, it'll tell me here the crib number is 01, my item code, and the number of bins that it's assigned to, 10. So these are all the cribs that I have here on the left-hand side. These are all of my cribs. And then I can just scroll through this report, and it also gives you a total of allocated bins. So in RoboCrib 01, I have 94 bins that are allocated or have items assigned to them. So again, this report can quickly tell me how many bins I have assigned for each item in a RoboCrib. So it's my RoboCrib bin allocation by item. And the RoboCrib item info, so RoboCrib item info report, this one lists the items and bins where they are assigned, and it also includes the crib min and max values here for each item. So again, this report will break it down by item. So this is my first item here. These are all the bin numbers that are assigned to that item. Here's the bin size. So it tells me the bin size, the bin capacity, and my crib min and max values. So if I wanted to see which bins an item is assigned to, here's a list of all the bins. So this is my RoboCrib item info report. You can also locate the bins that an item is assigned to through the AutoCrib software itself. So if you navigate to inventory and then items, you can either search for your item here or select it from the list. And if you click on bins here on the left side, it'll give you a list of all the bins the item is assigned to and whether there's any on-hand or burn quantities in that bin. So in the next example that I will walk through, let's say I have a dead item that I would like to replace with a higher moving item. So I'm just going to go back to my reports here. And I'm going to run my slow and dead inventory by item report. All right, so I'm just going to take the first item here on my list, which is AUT000002. I'm just going to write it down on a piece of paper. You can always export these reports and save them to your desktop or a share drive. So there's an item I would like to replace. So I'm just going to go here to cribs and bins, and I am going to search for that item code. I'm just going to type it here in my search field. Okay, so here are all the cribs and bins this item is assigned to. So for now, I'm just going to take it out of crib. Let's see, I'll take it out of crib 100, just as an example. So before I can reassign an item, so from here I should be able to just click Edit and select a different item here from my list to assign it and click Save. But before I can do this, go through the steps, I have to make sure that the on-hand quantities in the bin are 0. The burn quantity has to be 0. The issued quantity has to be 0. And on order has to be 0. So once all these fields are zeroed out, I can just hit the Edit button and replace my item. So what do you do if you have on-hand and burn quantities? In order to zero them out, you can either go to the AutoCrib machine and physical the bin to 0. You can also do it through the AutoCrib.net software by going to the transactions module and then the physical. And from here you can select your crib and you can select your bin, and here you can zero out the quantities and click OK. So that's one way that you can, or there's two ways that you can physical the quantities or just issue it out of the machine. That will also turn your on-hand and burn to 0. So the issued is indicates that an item, a durable, perishable, or gauge item has been issued out and is currently out on the floor and is waiting to be returned. So in order to zero out the issued field, you would just have to return that item to the machine. You can also, if you want to see who has the item currently out on the floor, you can click the Issues button here, and it will actually tell you the transaction number, crib, bin, and if you click on that transaction, it'll tell you who currently has the tool, so you can ask them to return it to the machine. So again, you have to make sure that your on-hand and burn quantities are 0, issued is 0, and also on order has to be 0. So if the item is currently on a purchase order, you would have to edit that PO and remove the item from the PO or delete the PO and create a new one without this item in it. So all of these fields have to be zeroed out. If you want to see if there's any open POs or if you want to see the PO number the item is on, you can always copy the item code from here and then go to Inventory Items and search for that item. And once you select the item, there's a button here on the left called Open PO. So if this item is currently on any POs, it will show you the PO number that it's on. So you can just jot it down and then go to your purchasing module and edit that PO and remove the item. So again, to reassign items in the machine, in the bin level, you just have to make sure that on hand is 0, burn is 0, issued is 0, on order is 0, and then you can just click Edit and replace the item with a new item in the bin, or assign the new item. Okay, so this concludes today's webinar. Now I'll be available to answer any questions that you may have. So let me see here if I can just go through and unmute everyone here. Okay.
Wasn't checking.
Go ahead and, if you don't have a question, go ahead and mute your phone.
Give me that.
But I will go through and unmute all the phones so you guys can ask your questions.
Let's see if I come out something.
Okay, so anybody here has any questions that is unmuted?
Yeah. Time to get a move on.
So that's what you have been doing.
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. Anybody that is unmuted so far have any questions? But I would have to ask everyone else to mute their phones so we can hear. Okay. Go ahead. You can also use the chat tool if you want to ask a question. The phone might be a little too difficult to...
I'm on a laptop. Can you hear me?
Yes?
Okay, I have a question. I'm on a monthly report titled Billing by Item Issue. We have machine items on a consignment basis, and we bill them at the end of the month. My question is, at the beginning of this webinar, you mentioned unpaid history, which I've never run before, yet I couldn't get the report.
A lot of bodies in the road.
Am I missing any items on there by not doing it?
Yeah, it has to files. Well, we get that picture.
I'm sorry, it's too difficult to hear.
It's like
1 second here.
Matches a Christine Bellata.